Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for my client Isaac's vlog. And his strength week was great, but these squats were higher than giraffe pussy, and I've already talked to him about it again. We're going to have to start working on his squat stance width. He's going to have to get his ego in check, and he's going to have to accept he's going to get less reps, right? Because again, we can all tell here these are high. Every single rep is high, but his strength is going up, right? Everything went up pretty evenly this week, all four of his barbell lifts. So he ended up getting 6 to 7 reps on everything on his 1+ sets. You know, again, barring the high squats, which again, even though his squats have been a little high, they have been going up. But again, now they're consistently high. So we've got to work on technique. All right, we've got to work on technique. He's got to work on sitting back. He's got to learn to open up his hips. And that probably means for him, he's going to need a wider stance. So you're going to need to open that stance up a little bit. He's going to have to learn to drive those knees out so that, again, he can get his hips back. But outside of that, I mean, the strength has been great this week. Every single thing went up, as you guys will see as we watch it. And of course, his bulk is being successful. We've been talking a bit, though, about fatigue management and sleep and caffeine, things like that, because it's something he does need to work on. And I know people are like, but he's making great gains. Yeah, but he's also getting pretty fatigued. And we're training 3 days a week. And it's come back to kind of like I've said in Brett's vlog this week. A lot of people are like, a lot of you guys are not doing that much work. It's like, yeah, they really are. It's because people are not factoring in. They're seeing, well, they just do a few supplemental lifts. Yeah, but they do 5 sets of all those lifts, number one. All right. Number two, they're doing a 5x10 on all the barbell lifts after the main work. I show one of the sets of 10, but if you look at the charts, it's 5x10. Now, we did basically a wave this time on the boring but big. This is the last time I'm making him do 70%. Again, it just buried him. He is now strong enough that 70% training maxes, especially if we raise those training maxes again, he's not going to be able to handle them. This is a problem you run into with your advanced lifters. There's a reason we do 50% for back off work for most advanced lifters. There's a reason we just kind of stay there. I wanted to run him through some waves because we only train 3 days a week and we wanted to push his limits, but we've reached that limit. So now we have to back it down to 50% and probably keep it there for everything. Benching, really good benching this week. This was 265, I think. All right, 265, and he got like 7 reps or so. I could be wrong. He got at least 6. Yep, he got 8, actually. He got 8, now that I'm looking at my chart. So, great work there. Bench, overhead press, deadlift, all going up. The squat is technically going up, but like we said, we have to resolve that depth issue. It has to be resolved, because otherwise, if he goes to do a meet or something later, it's going to get red lighted. Number two, people are going to see it on the internet, and they're going to be like, that wasn't the depth. Overhead press. Again, I believe he got 7 reps. 175 for 7. I think I had 2 lifters this week hit this exact same thing. I had 2 lifters, I believe, who both got 175 for 7 this week, who have vlogs. All right? So they're doing great on the press. Again, this represents over a 200-pound press at this point. All right? Very, very strong. Again, 175 for 7. A lot of guys out there would be happy to just get 175. Then, of course, he does his boring but big back off work. So we do 5x10. But this week, you guys notice it's heavier. It was all 70%. And he did tell me, he's like, it was brutal. And keeping in mind, that's 70% of the training maxes we listed. And he just got a bunch of like 7-rep sets with 95% of that training max. So this isn't even 70% max. It's of a training max. And it's fatiguing. Guys can't handle it. Advanced lifters cannot handle multiple sets of 10s in that sort of percentage, especially as back off work. Maybe if they were fresh, but they're not going to do 5 sets like this. So we've got to reel that back in and just get that quality work. And the stuff that I've talked about in the past with the more advanced lifters, I've made videos explaining that. I'll have more coming out in the future. I've discussed it in my own vlogs, right, of what's going on with that and why that 50% works, why it works so well. And we do get thick doing it. And then he finishes up with tricep extensions. So for those who are trying to understand his split, he runs a 5-3-1 3-day a week. We have basically a squat day, which is a leg day. We have a press day, which is all the pressing muscles. And then he has a pulling day, which is deadlift base followed by any pulling. So again, his pull-ups, his curls, stuff like that. Eventually, I'm going to want to increase the volume of his pulling, and that's going to disrupt the split a little bit, to some extent. But keeping in mind, he's making gains. His back is still getting stronger with only 1 day of pulling every week. Again, and that's doing pull-ups after deadlifting, right? He's doing fine there. It's just as a longer term, he's going to eventually need a little more volume on this to maximize growth in his back. But for now, we're doing fine. He has lats, has a big back, has a big upper back. Everything's growing. And I think that what that highlights for a lot of people should understand is that as much as I love pull-ups and rows and things, that a lot of your back development can literally come from things like your deadlift and your overhead press. Right, at least the upper back for the overhead pressing. As notice his traps are getting bigger. Most of that's coming from the deadlift volume, right? And we know that's the case. The overhead press, of course, contributes to it as well. But deadlifts this week, phenomenal. Great set. Although he came in, he's getting a little hyped up, coming back and doing that extra rep. Isaac, we don't want to grind like that. Too much. We should have stopped a rep short. Don't do that last rep next time. No, it's because he re-rolled the bar, then had to grind it up, then he let it go. That's too grindy. Because that makes that a true rep max. But again, final day in the hardest week in a wave, so we're going to go lighter next week. Everything's going to get dialed back just a little bit. He's going to get caught up on sleep, going to get him recovered, and everything will be good. After that, again, he did 5 sets of 10 at 70% training max. So again, last time we're probably going to do this for him. And then, of course, he laughed and sent me a thing. Had to get serious, shirt came off for pull-ups, and then he does pull-ups. And again, his base is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When we do finally cut, here probably in a few months, whenever we decide to cut, he's gonna look ridiculous. He's gonna look ridiculous when he cuts back down. Keeping in mind, this is a guy who has been shredded before. You can see all his social media below. You can see that he has been very, very ripped in the past. Now we're getting him as big as possible. He wants to get as big and as strong as possible, right? He wants a 500 squat. He wants a 600 deadlift. Now, again, this is not leaving reps in reserve, Isaac. All right. We stopped short of failure. So again, he's pushing stuff out a little bit far, but it's that drive that he has to always want to push. But we need to stop short. This is all about quality volume. And I always tell guys, some guys train too hard. It isn't necessary. It's not even beneficial beyond a certain point. And I will use that as a classic example there. Those cheating reps on the pull-ups. He's already fatigued all the upper threshold fibers. That's why he's having to cheat to get them up. Are we really getting a benefit? No. Because the upper threshold fibers aren't being used. Just the intermediate ones now. All right, so been a little critical of Isaac this week, but overall he had a great week. He is getting bigger. He is getting stronger. He is making phenomenal progress. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.